Welcome to Explain America. I'm your host, Kyle Becker. Well, the Texas Democrats saga is wrapping up, and we're hoping here that any lawbreakers are facing arrests. It looks like the Attorney General of Texas is dead set on doing that with his latest statement. It looks like he's actually going to take action, and if anybody could do it, I think Ken Paxton would. So before we get into this story, please like, comment, share. Join us at Explain America. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Now, the Texas Democrats, they have been AWOL for weeks, and they have been really dragging their feet, but they took a big loss last night because the Texas Senate, well, they held a vote on the redistricting, and they triumphed 19-2. Well, that's not before a handful of the Democrats stomped off, little stompy feet, temper tantrum, and complained about the process, whined like they always do, and issued a fiery release about it being all of the Republicans' fault that they didn't bring up legislation like flood relief. But they just took the L anyway, and that could have been predicted a long time ago. So they should have just come to the table, immediately engage in what we like to call democracy, and do their vote on the floor like men and women, and, well, this could have been avoided. But instead, they have a PR nightmare of not just being lawbreakers, like 60 of them in the Texas House that fled the state, but they also cost us precious time getting flood relief to victims, including other important bills that are in front of the people's business. Well, somebody who is a congenital loser and he just can't get enough of just taking L's is Beto O'Rourke. And his organization called Powered by People, well, him, along with his pals with the Soros organizations, have been aiding and abetting these Texas lawbreakers. And Paxton, well, he's taken notice because, obviously, we reported on this weekend. Beto, aka Robert Francis O'Rourke, was out there saying that, F the rules, he's above the law. I mean, he's like Ern McCracken from Kingpin. It's just an absolute joke who this card thinks he is. And Paxton, well, he took note of it because he issued a temporary restraining order against O'Rourke and his group Powered by People. And the order explicitly banned Beto from raising money to pay for travel, hotels, and fines of $500 a day for these AWOL Texas Democrats who fled the state to block a redistricting vote. And what did Beto do? He says there are no refs in this game. F the rules. We're going to win whatever it takes. That's what he said at his rally. And then Beto flashed a donation link and urged supporters to give money through Act Blue, another criminal organization that's being investigated. And he didn't stop there. He shared a fundraiser again on social media, repeated the call at a town hall in Abilene, and dared the state to do something about it. Well, in a blistering emergency motion for contempt, Attorney General Paxton asked the Tarrant County Court to hit Beto with $500 fines per violation and lock him up until he agrees to follow the law. He said, quote, "In light of Defendant O'Rourke's repeated statements disparaging this court's TRO and announcing his intent to continue violating the order, the state requests Defendant O'Rourke to be confined to jail unless and until he demonstrates a willingness to abide by the court's orders." So the Attorney General says Beto belongs in jail, and he's not backing down over this. This is a major escalation in the showdown over redistricting. There should be jail for some of these lawbreakers, whether it be judges issuing illegal orders or Democrats failing to obey lawful orders. There needs to be consequences, or they're going to continue to drag our politics through the mud. They don't have any self-restraint, they don't have any decorum, and they don't have any dignity. And it's about time we put a stop to this. So anybody out there who's a parent, and you have children, right? What happens when you don't draw boundaries for children? They walk all over you. Well, what happens when you take their, electronics away, or you ground them, or, you set them in the corner, or whatever you need to do, you take away their allowance. You have to punish them to get the behavior to change, right? And it's funny how it happens overnight. They suddenly respect you after you put your foot down. Well, this is what we have. We have a bunch of unruly children in our politics. And the Democratic Party, they're worse than a rebellious teenager at this point. And they are running amok. They're stealing the car keys, going out, all night driving, doing God knows what. And, it's time to pull them over and, give them a breathalyzer if it's needed, because they're out of control. And people are getting hurt. This isn't hypothetical. They are getting hurt because of this. Whether it's flood relief or it's crime in blue cities, people are actually getting hurt. There are people suffering because of this childish behavior. So what do you think about this? Should Paxton arrest O'Rourke, put him behind bars, and make an example of him? F the rules. Well, you're not above the law, Beto, and you defied the court, and there have been people sent to jail for less than that. So this has been Kyle Becker with Explain America. Please share your comments and your thoughts about this story. We love hearing from you.